Okay, it's 2:30 and I'm going to do a demo today with these cute, fun little gnomes made out of felted fabric, or felt squares, I should say. And I just wanted to line them up, show you the ones that I have been working on. And I'm going to come up here. Hello. I see people are starting to come in. All right. As you know, I've posted quite a bit on the group page of these little gnomes I've been playing with, and I just made right before. Maybe it took me 45 minutes or so to put this gnome together. This is a little girl with a braid, and I didn't have any other color yarn. I just had this dark yarn, but I wanted to see if I could do it, and it can be done. So she's a little bit plain. Uh, Looks a little different without a beard, but I still like her nonetheless. And here's one with the beard. Um, there's also this was my intention when I first started making these, was for the Christmas tree or holiday decoration. And the few that I made, I didn't even think about putting the ribbon on to hang it, but that's an option depending on what you want to do with these guys. So, hey Deb, hey Kathy. So yeah, that's an option, and I don't know, they're just kind of fun. Um, Maybe I'm going through a second childhood. I don't know. All right. I see that the broadcast is kind of going in and out. So if there's problems and you can't see or hear me or whatever, just let me know. I don't know what I'll do about it, but if it continues to cut out, maybe I'll have to do this later. So let me know in the broadcast. But these are the guys. And I had made kits. I had made kits if you wanted to purchase one or whatever. And most of them have gone out, and I still have some left. So if there's anybody that's still interested, I have them available. And let's see here. So for this project, if you don't have a kit and you want to make them, I will include at the end of the broadcast or on the group page, I will include a template so that you can make your own if you want to, or like I said, you can still purchase a kit, but you'll have all the supplies listed so that you can make them on your own. Now for this project, I used a die cutting machine, which you may or may not be familiar with, and I'll show that to you as well. Instead of hand cutting all these uh, parts, a die cutting machine is nice, but you know, you have to have a purpose for it other than just making gnomes, because it's not very cost efficient if you do it, you know, if you purchase one for that. So, but there's all kinds of other dies available. And if you're into paper crafting, card making, that kind of stuff, a die cutting machine is very helpful. It saves you a lot of time. And they have such nice, intricate patterns available that you can make things with as well. So I just went to like Joann Fabrics and bought squares of felt, different color felt material. And I don't know, there's just lots of different options. Um, Patty says, oh, or if you're Deb, we have a friend, Deb, who will probably be watching this later. Um, when she starts a project, she goes all out. Of course, I'm not too far away from that, but you know, she has to have all the things. So, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we kind of joke about it. So, by the way, hi, Patty. I keep getting the green screen flashing. Do you guys get any of that? Or is the broadcast okay? if one of you who are watching will let me know, please. Hopefully it just shows up on my end and not yours. And then just before, I did, yeah, she does share her toys. That's for sure. That's for sure, Patty. Um, After I had made a bunch of kits and sent them out, I went back to Joann's and I found this kind of a tie-dyed felt fabric that I just think is just really, really cute. So this one's a little bit more expensive than the other squares, but it's what, like $1.99 or something. So not bad. You can probably make 2 gnomes out of one sheet. So okay, so that's the felt. I have a great big huge tray of different colors. And in the if you wanted a kit still, you could tell me what colors you want and I should be able to provide that. All right, the next thing, I'm going to show you the Sizzix die cut machine that I bought. And like I said, you don't have to have this for this project for sure because it's expensive. I happened to buy an electric one because, it just gets hard. There's the crank style die cut machine too, and that's fine. A lot of people have that option, but this one is electric, and it's just a little bit easier for me to maneuver. So I'm gonna move the camera, and I'll tell you just I'm not promoting you buying one of these. I'm just saying I'm just showing you in case you're not familiar with a die cutting machine, this particular kind. This is a Sizzix brand. Let me see if I can turn the camera so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. This is the machine. It has the front entrance, and then the thing comes out in the back. This happens to be the pattern, the gnome pattern that I purchased from Sizzix, made by Sizzix. They didn't have any, I got it through Amazon, but they didn't have any in the US, and this actually came from the UK. I don't understand that, but it came very quickly, so I just thought I'd throw that in there if you go looking for one of these. It has the pattern, the shapes, the 4 shapes that make up the gnome in here. And inside, this is like a spongy foam, and inside there, under the foam, there are blades, kind of like cookie cutter type things, but they're very sharp, and that's what cuts the fabric. You can cut fabric or paper. I don't think you could cut metal unless it was a thin foil, so don't even get your hopes up about that. But it cuts multiple pieces at one time. You can get probably, depending on the type of felt that you get, if you get a premium felt, it's a lot thicker, so you'll get less, you're able to stack less fabric on there. But you can probably get on the regular felt, you can probably get 6 pieces in one pass through. Okay. Hi, Kim. I love you too. Yes, there's no denying I am an enabler. Okay, so let me show you how this works. I'll get a piece of fabric. So many choices. I'll just take two different pieces of fabric, and this is just solely to show you how I made these kits up. And I'm going to place, kind of size out what I need. I'm just going to do 2 pieces of the body of the gnome on this particular pass-through. With this machine, there's more stuff you need. I mean, there's always more things. You need these plates. They are, I don't know, they've got it all figured out. So for the depth that you need to pass through the machine to do a proper cutting, so you use these plates, one on top and one on bottom of the die for this particular application. And I'm going to kind of like sandwich that through and put it through. Is the machine on? Now it is. I'm going to put it through the machine. It's not too terribly loud. And just feed that through there. Comes out the back. And voila. We have our two pieces of the gnome body cut and ready to use. And you would just repeat that on, for all the other parts too. Now these plates, these cutting plates, they get messed up. They get messed up bad because of the blades that are inside of this foamy thing. Okay. But that doesn't matter so much. You can use these until they fall apart, which really I haven't had that happen. But since I've been making all these kits, it's really gotten a lot of abuse. It starts out pretty innocently. I don't know if you can see the design on here. I think this was from just one pass through. So when you have multiple ones, they get beat up kind of quickly. But that's how that machine is used. If you're doing paper, actually, I'll show you the next thing. When I made the leaves are with another product made for these machines, and it's all by Sizzix. And this is really, this little leaf is really made for paper, but it cuts one layer of felt with no problem. Okay, but this is a whole different thickness than this die is. So you have to compensate with your things to make sure that it has enough pressure in the machine when it's cutting, to do the job. So we don't need this thing for the leaf. We need a little square of fabric, which I have over here. And this one has a different plate. This is I guess they call them platforms. And I'm going to put that on the platform. This is called a Thinlet, and they come, when you buy them, there's like a whole set of similar themed pieces. Okay, and like I said, I'm not trying to sell for Sizzix. I'm just trying to show you how these kits how they came together. So I'm going to put a little piece of felt on top of that leaf, and for this, I'm getting ahead of myself as usual. I'm going to put one of the plates on the bottom. This is to get the correct thickness. And then my die cut and fabric. And then I'm going to push this through the machine. You can kind of think of these plates as shims. They kind of just make the right thickness to pass through. So I pulled up my leaf. There it is. Little fabric leaf. The stem on these is so super thin that they usually come off. But if you're doing paper crafts, they're great. If you're making cards and different things like that, you can use them. They hold up real well. All right, so that is how I made all these kits. Otherwise, my hands would be killing me from scissors from cutting all these shapes. But like I said a couple minutes back, If you don't have anything like this, don't plan on buying anything like this, that's absolutely fine. You can still make your gnomes with a pattern, which all I did was cut some pieces out and then scanned them. And then you'll cut these pieces out, and then you can trace over your felt fabric and cut out your pieces. So they will. I will put a file in the file section in our group page so that you can make. You can print out a template, and then you can make your own if you want to do that. The other thing, I was going to say something about this too. Oh, if you're going to print this out, I would print it on cardstock or like a manila folder. Like if you split a manila folder in half, 2 sections, that makes a great uh, paper for tracing little things like this. Okay, so that's just a little tip there. So that'll be in the file section in the group after I get this demo done. All right. Kim says, pretty sure you can use either the regular or electric. Absolutely, you can. I just preferred to buy the electric since I had that option. But the other one is just like a roller. Like it doesn't look like a pasta machine, but it's like the same principle. It's got the roller and it goes through the machine. You just roll it through. Gwen, hi Gwen. Watching from the road home from Tucson. Now another toy I have to have. It just one thing leads to another. But, it's a hefty investment. And unless you're going to use it for multiple crafting projects, I wouldn't do it, or maybe just get the roll one, the manual. Uh, it's a lot less expensive and does the same thing. So I was so jealous I wasn't able to go to Tucson this year, Gwen. I missed seeing everybody. It felt kind of weird. It's been a number of years that I've been going, and it just didn't feel right not going. But it was a better decision for me this year. But next year I'll be going. So hopefully I can get together with all you guys again. All right, so let's move along. If you bought a kit, I'll show you the contents of the kit, and we will make one from start to finish. Oh, I missed some questions, so I'm going to look at those for a minute. Hey, Wendy. Hi, Carol. Deb's asking if I know if they make those gnome plates for any that size for the regular Sizzix. Well, I think this is it. I'm not quite sure. I mean, this is a Sizzix machine. It's called the Big Shot Switch. The Switch is because it's the electric one, but the other is just a Big Shot. But the dies are the same. The dies are, if that's what you're asking, I'm not really sure, but maybe you can get back to me on that. Hey, Mary. All right, so let's move the camera down here, and I'll open up a kit, and we will make one. In case you didn't see when I first started, if you're just joining, right before the broadcast, I decided to try to make a girl gnome. And the only difference is that she doesn't have a beard, although maybe they do. I don't I don't know. But I've seen girl gnomes with braids. So I didn't have any other, like a light colored yarn. I just had this dark kind of gray black yarn, and I just braided a piece of it and sewed it under the cap, or before I put the cap on. So it's just a little option. I didn't really decorate her very well, but But that's another option. And Jennifer Shute, she got one of the kits and she made it last week. She was anxious to get it made. So she made hers and she put little beads. If you looked on the group page, she took the leaf and she sewed beads on them before she put them on the hat. Let me see. I was messing around with that earlier too. So that's another option. You can take little seed beads and sew them on the leaf if you want to just have another design element, uh, you know, to look them up a little bit. I mean, to make them fancier, put it that way. Okay, Deb says it looks so much bigger than mine. You have the gnome die. It's to my knowledge, that's the only gnome die that's available. But there may have been a different one, but I looked all over the web and this is the only one that I was able to find. So littler ones would be cute too, but these aren't too terribly large. And I think having the little ribbon on there is kind of a nice thing if you want to hang them on your tree or whatever. Maybe you want to hang it on your rear view mirror. Who knows? I have to tell you though that when I bought all the stuff for these kits, the beard material was that was a big mess. I first bought, well, what did I do? No, I made it a couple of different ways. The first time I made it, I really didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. It's kind of, I punt as I go along. This one is a little bit thick, but I went to Joann's and I looked for fabric. And let me tell you, they have suitable faux fur for beards, but I didn't know what I was buying. I'm not a material person, so I said, give me a quarter yard because I really don't need that much. Well, a quarter yard turns out to be this enormous, enormous piece of fur. So, we could make a lot of Santa beards out of it and, like real life size Santa beards. But trying to figure out how to cut it and not destroy it, that was whole nother project. And this stuff just comes out like crazy from this big piece of material. So that was kind of the only really challenge to put these things together. So, but anyway, if you need beard fur, I've got a ton of it. So, and of course, they had the option of another color. So I bought a quarter yard of that too. When the lady was cutting it, I was embarrassed then because I was thinking, wait, that's way more than I need. But I don't know, should I set an eighth of a yard? Do I want 6 inches? I don't know. So I just did it. So anyway, there's a ton. We could maybe make does that work? Now I'm gonna be breathing it. Um, I don't know. This one has creases in it, so I had to kind of cut around and try to find better, like choice cuts for this. Okay, so I keep this all in a bag to keep it all together, but I have, like fur flying all over. So I don't know, Patty. It's a challenge when I cut that fur. It really is. Ugh, but you're always learning something. So at least I am. I don't know. Not necessarily good. All right. So here is Oh, thank you, Nancy. This is the one that I'm making kits for. I thought I'd do a little shameless plug for it and wear it while I'm doing this demo. So I'll get to that. I'll get back to that at the end of this demo. All right, so if you got a kit, this is what you get in it. You get the body. You get all the pieces. You get the body, two pieces for the body, two pieces for the hat, one piece for the bottom of the body, a nose, and 2 feet, and a little leaf. Whether you use the leaf or not is up to you. You also get a beard, and you get your choice of a white or, I don't know, it's not really blonde, maybe a red-headed beard. Red beard. Then in the other little pouch, you get your ribbon to hang it if you choose to hang it. Your pearl cotton. There's 3 yards of pearl cotton in here, which is way more than you need, but you know, that's what you get. And there's an embroidery needle and a needle threader, which kind of helps because the pearl cotton's a little bit thick, although the embroidery needles have a rather large hole in them, or an eye, so it just makes it easier to thread them. All right, so to get started, I'm going to pull off about a yard of the pearl cotton. Pearl cotton comes in different sizes, and this is a size 8. It's a little bit thinner. If you got like a size 5, it's thicker. Let me see if I can show you here. This roll is almost gone, but this is the 8, and this is the 5. So side by side comparison, and either one is fine. Sometimes you want a thinner seam line and sometimes a thick. Either one is fine. I think the kits had the 8 in them. The 8, I believe, is what you can find at Joann Fabrics easily, but I'm not 100% certain on that. All right. Okay, so there's a needle threader, and I'm going to use that to get my yarn started. Everybody has one in their kit. If you buy multiple kits, you get all the pieces just the same. And I do that because when people buy more than one kit, I don't know if it's for them or if they're giving it to someone. So that way, you paid for a whole kit, so you get the whole shebang. So I'm going to just kind of guesstimate about a yard of thread. And I'm going to put a little knot on the bottom, at the end, I should say. The embroidery needles too, those were kind of, since I'm not really familiar with all that, they were a little bit difficult to decide what size I wanted to buy. And the first bunch I got on Amazon, and they turned out to be really huge, which is one I'm using. But the ones in the kits seem to be more of the appropriate size. But I ran out of those, so I have to get some more. All right, so right off the bat, I'm going to do the nose. Let's see. Pull this stuff back. The nose is pretty simple. There's only really like 2 stitches that I'm using. One is the blanket stitch, which is when I'm going to be doing the body together. And then I'm just doing kind of a running stitch now, just for the nose. Hopefully you can see. All right, so the nose and the feet are the same sizes, but the nose is always the cream colored one, unless you want to walk on the wild side and do funny color noses. All right, so I'm going to put the thread in and just kind of do a running stitch, which is basically just back and forth, in and out, up and down, whatever you want to call it. All around. And the paper instructions, the handout that you're going to get, has pictures of all of this, so you should be able to see what I'm doing fairly well. So I'm just going up and down. It doesn't have to be particularly long stitches or short. All I'm going to do is gather this nose up. That's the other thing. When you're working with thread, it's probably good to get all your other little things out of the way that won't get hooked on the thread. The other thing is when you're using pretty long lengths of thread, you can get knots fairly easy. Just be patient and it'll all work out. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter of the nose. Oh, and in the kit too, you get all the stuffing or the filler, whatever you want to call it, to stuff the bodies and the nose. But this is actually a pretty quick project. Depending on how particular you are about your stitching and if they have to be real precise or not. Okay, so I've gone all the way around the little nose, and now I'm going to pull the thread, which wrinkles up his nose. We're starting to make a nose here, and then I'm going to get a little bit. You get a bag of stuffing here too, this fiberfill in your kit as well. It's way more than you need, but you know, I had such a huge bag. I was just generous as far as that goes. All right, so you just need a little bit for his nose. This stuff gets kind of weird to work with, but we're going to stuff that in his nose. You don't need a whole lot for that. And pull, tuck that fiberfill in, pull that yarn or thread till you get a little schnozola there. And then I'm going to just take my thread and needle and kind of go across from where I just was and pull the nose closed, kind of stitch it closed. Just kind of going crisscross from one side to the other, which gathers all the stitching and forms a little nose pretty nicely. I'm not real precise with this because it's not going to show once you've sewn it on the body, but it just depends on how precise you want to be, or neat or anal or whatever you want to call it. Okay. So once I get the schnozola done, I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to just cut off maybe, I don't know, 10 or so inches and just leave this alone for right now. All right, so we have the nose. Set that aside. Now I'm going to sew the body and do my knot again at the end since I cut it off. Usually I make a double knot, and mainly because the size of this needle is big. All right, cut off the little excess. Then I'm going to go into the body, put my two pieces together, but right here at this corner on the inside, I'm going to put my needle through there, and that way my knot is on the inside of the body and doesn't show. Now for the blanket stitch, that's what I'm going to do around the body here. For this, I'm going to put my needle in from the back of the two pieces, come up through the piece, bring my thread through, well, for the first one, I have to just do it like this. And then I'm going to grab this loop and pull it. That's my first stitch. Then I'm going to come in through the back again. Now, your lining up of where your stitches are is totally up to you. If you want to mark them out where you want your stitches or just do it like I'm doing it. Someone sent me a picture of they had like took a marker and did little lines across there, but I couldn't get my finger to cooperate, in the line for making the stitches. So I just kind of do it just, I don't know, this way. So before you pull that string all the way taut, I put my needle from the front into that loop, and then I pull, and that makes your first blanket stitch here. Then I'm going to come up again from the back with my needle. And I've got that loop of thread before I pull that taut. Stick my needle through there, and I've got my second stitch. This is called the blanket stitch. You've probably seen it on blankets, but they're machine made now. So, but that's how the edge is. All right, I found that it was better for me to just make sure that I did it this way, coming up from the back piece and then through the loop from the top. The first few I made were really pretty rough, pretty ragged looking with the stitching. But as I've been doing more, it's getting better. And I will do this all the way around until we get to the bottom, and then I'll sew on the bottom. I will stuff it before we get the bottom totally sewn on. I didn't hold my pieces together too well. I've got a slight difference. Can you guys see okay what I'm doing and understand what I'm doing? There's also little YouTube videos showing these different stitches that I'll put a couple of links on the group page as well with the blanket stitch and the running. Well, I don't know if there's one for running stitch, but they've got a lot of pictures that you can look at. And then there are some YouTube videos that show you how to do it, how to do the different stitches. But it's relatively like, well, I pulled that before I closed the loop, before I went through the loop, put it that way. I'll speed it up a little bit. And if you are straight on with your stitching and not at an angle, it'll look more uniform. But you know, these are just little whimsical things too, so you know, sometimes that's the charm of it, is to not look like it was machine made, factory made, that kind of thing. Okay, so we reached the bottom. And now I'm going to take the bottom part okay. I'm going to attach or sew this one side on, one side of the bottom first, and then I'll fill it. I hope I have enough thread. I might have cut off too much. So I'm going to hold that together, do the same stitch, and I just lost my thread. All right. I'm rethreading my needle here. Here's my needle threader. This is just a different, fun kind of project. This is something that you can do on your lap. Um, you don't have to have lots of tools or anything. It's a fun project to do with your kids or your grandkids. Now, in the of when I bought the gnome die cut thing from Sizzix, there were no instructions as how to put this guy together, and so I Googled it, and I did find a lady who had made some of these. She did a little bit different, and she put feet on them, which the picture of the gnome doesn't show feet on it from the Sizzix die, but I just assumed since there was, um, well, I mean, you can make the feet, uh, that it should have feet. So it will stand up fairly well without the feet, but um, it's still a little bit wobbly. So if you wanted to put something stiffer inside the body to maybe make it stand up a little bit better, you could do that. I'm not sure what that would be, but you could probably put a wire or a piece of dowel rod or something like that, or fill it with some other substance. I don't know what though, because um, somebody had suggested maybe sand, but the sand will seep out. The seams aren't that uh, that tight together that would warrant, you know, having the no sand. All right, so we're going to get stuffing. I also have a chopstick, but you could use a pencil whatever, something to push the foam or the fiber fill into the top. This is more important to use something like this when you get to the hat, because the hat is pointy and it's a little bit harder to reach in there. So you can stuff it as full as you want. So anyway, getting back to the feet, there were no directions on how to attach the feet to the body. So I was just kind of playing around with that. And they don't really look the best from the back or the bottom, in my opinion. But I'm going to have to get some more thread. This is just, I kind of cut it too short. So I'm going to get another piece to finish the bottom. Hi, Tammy. You're going back today from Tucson. Are you feeling better today? You poor thing, you really got screwed over on your trip. That was such a shame that you got sick and couldn't enjoy the show. And to be on the road when you get sick is miserable. All right, so I'm redoing another strand of thread. I have to finish off that other thread though. I have to end it so it doesn't unravel. All right, so let me put this back on. Where's my stuff? Okay. All right. So I'm just going to tie this guy off. Do kind of a half hitch, kind of a knot. And actually what I'll do, what I like to do sometimes when I'm doing knots, where's my needle threader? Oh, okay. When I'm doing knots is I'll make the knot and then pass the string through a different area and then cut the thread off so the knot doesn't show. Okay, so I just kind of pulled it in there and then pull this. There we go. That way the knot doesn't show where I ended that. All right, carry on here. So he's stuffed. And get started back here. Knots inside. And I'll do like a stitch or two, and then I have to add his feet. Forgot to stitch before I'm all over the place here. All right. So now I'm going to get his feet, and I'm just going to tuck a foot in. I mean, you may find a better way to do it, and I hope you do actually. That will be neater than what I'm doing. but I couldn't figure out anything better as I am not really a sewer. So I'm going through the back here and going through the bottom part and then through the foot and just do that running stitch. So it's just back and forth just to attach his feet. This needle that I have is really not appropriate. It's too thick. But the kits have the correct one. So I'm just going back and forth, stitch for his feeties. It's not ideal, but it works. I feel like this needle is probably better for leather. It did say embroidery though, but it just feels so big. Okay, so that's one foot. There's no way that I could figure out how to do a blanket stitch when you got these feet sticking out. So I didn't really feel that there was an option to do anything but this running stitch. For his feet. It could be neater. It can always be neater. All right. Oh, got a little knot in the thread. There we go. All right. Turn him around. I guess I didn't accomplish anything. I'm back where I was. Did him backwards. All right. Now we'll do it. Back to the blanket stitch. Okay. So that part of him's done. So then I will close this off here, down here, knot it out, I mean. Oh, I hate when you get knots. Usually they come apart very easily, except for when you're doing live demos. Well, I don't know what I did, but I did something. Almost got it. Sorry, guys. Let me just take. Honestly, I don't know what I did to get that so knotted. It just happened. Almost. Close, but not no cigar. When I do it good. Take my needle off so I can pull this thread. There. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm just going to pull that knot up and cut my thread. That way you don't even see where that knot was. Okay, so now is time for the beard. We're going to sew on the beard. I'll get another piece of yarn, or thread, I should say. All right. I have to look at the comments. I haven't looked for a little bit, so I'll look at the comments in a second. All right. The beard gets stitched on, and it's kind of messy, but the hat's going to cover it, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. I am going to, the beards are wide enough to fit the top, the narrow edge of the body, and I'm going to put the needle in here just to get the knot buried. Okay. And then I'm just going to do like an overhand stitch to sew his beard on. See, this is what I was saying. If things are around, they get caught on your threads. So I'm just going to, but you don't want to have your back stitches, you want to make sure that you keep them up high. Otherwise they'll show underneath the hat or below the hat would be a better. Okay. And then we're going to sew the nose on. Okay. So you may need to adjust the beard a little bit if your beard is not, if it's too long. It shouldn't be. I should have taken that all into consideration when I put them together, but you may want to trim it a little bit. Now I'm going to take the needle off of here. Well, let me reinforce this last stitch here on the beard. But I'm going to take the needle off and put the needle back on the nose string. Actually, I think I'm going to leave that string on there, not cut it off, because I can do the hat with that. Okay, so we got the nose. Put a little. Okay. So when you put the hats on these guys, you want to make sure that the nose is still going to be sticking out somewhat. I mean, that's the whole point. How cute they look is their schnoz is sticking out. So you don't want to put the nose up too high. I'm just sticking the needle through here, which promptly came off my thread. And working around this beard hair can be a little bit of a challenge. So you need to be careful when you're sewing the nose on. Got to re-needle my thread here. All right. Now I want to look where I've got his nose position. That should be fine. So you don't want to go at the top of the beard. You want to go lower so you don't cover up his nose. Okay. So I'm going to go back in that area and then grab from behind the nose and grab a piece. This is, you get it on however you can get it on. You just want to make sure that it's attached, that it's not going to fall off. But I am going up and through that seam. This needle is thick. There we go. A few stitches should be enough to get him secured on there. And I lost my needle again. My thread's just too short. It was an incorrect judgment call on how long of a thread I needed for that. All right. These guys remind me of ZZ Top also. All right. Get your hairs out of there. All right. So his schnoz is on. And this isn't the best job, but I'm trying to get through the demo in a reasonable amount of time. Okay. All right. So that's on. And I was wrong saying I was going to finish this guy off with his hat. I have to do that separately. Okay, so he's coming along. Let me check my messages here. Okay, Deb, will do. Yep, you could use rice, Wendy. That's true. That's true. Okay. Yeah, I'm not the best sewer. My mother was an excellent seamstress. She worked for department stores that did ladies' formal wear and stuff like that, and she really tried hard to to teach me, but I just wasn't interested, which is a shame. But I didn't have any patience whatsoever when I was growing up for sewing, and she was kind of a strict teacher and would stay over my shoulder and make me rip every crooked seam, trying for my own benefit to be better. But I got very frustrated and said, I don't need to do this. I'll buy my clothes. But now, although I can hem stuff, I can do simple things, but I can't do much of anything else sewing wise. Okay, so I'm going to do his hat now. And actually, now would be the time to stitch on the leaf if you want to put the leaf on, and I will. I'll just do this very easily. I'm just going to do a few stitches just to kind of tack it on. Just a few back and forth, up and down stitches. You could go all the way around the leaves if you wanted to do that, but I don't want to do that. The very first one that I did, the leaf was an afterthought, so I glued it on, but that really was very messy, and I wouldn't recommend that, but it is an option. So I'm just doing a few up and down stitches for the leaf. And like I said, Jennifer had, if you look back on the group page for her post, she added a little string of beads on the leaf, which was a nice touch. Okay, so just end this off here. Okay. All right, so now we'll do around the hat. Sewing the hat to the body is a little tricky. Um, it's doable, but it's just a little bit tricky because you can't connect it on the face over the beard. You have to stitch the whole back of it and then a couple of stitches on either side of the hat in the front. to make it stay on. And I lost my needle again. I'm trying to go a little bit faster than I probably should, so I'm not being as careful. And I mean, there's that, and then there's the klutz factor also. So, all right. And there's no rules to, what color threads you use. If you want to use threads that match the fabric, I mean, that's okay, if you want to do that. Um, I kind of like the stitches that kind of stick out because it gives it kind of a folksy, folklory kind of look to me. So, but that's totally up to you. The pearl cotton comes in all kinds of colors. Um, so there is that option as well. And so does the felt. And there's different qualities of felt as well. I think I mentioned that earlier. Some of it is very thin and some of it is very thick. So uh, you can get lots of color choices at Joann's and just buy, several sheets of whatever you want, or you can order online, but I think you have to get more. I'm not sure if you have to buy so many in a package or whatever, but buying them individually is kind of fun because you can mix up the colors, and there's no rules as far as what colors they have to be, just whatever colors you like. Oh, if you're going to put the ribbon in, that was another thing to do. At the time, I can still do it, but I don't want to do it. But this is where you would have this piece open here, and you would stitch in your ribbon right here, and just give it a few stitches back and forth, and then you join your two pieces together. But that's where you would put it in before you started stitching on this side. It's much easier to manipulate it if the pieces aren't already half sewn together like I just did. So, but that's at the point where you would put that in. I've got an idea for these guys. I have a shelf that's near the ceiling of my shop, a long shelf, and it's very close to the ceiling edge, and I want to line these guys up. I may have to double stick tape them to the shelf so that they all stand up all the time, but I thought that that would be cute. So if I actually do that, I'll take a picture and share that with you. Okay. Have you guys had a green screen at all? Because I am periodically getting a green screen, but I haven't seen anybody complain or mention it, not complain, but mention it, that they're having issues with the broadcast. So now this one was way too close to the edge. So I'm going to take my needle off and take that stitch out, because that was rather caca. Okay. There's whimsical and then there's crappy. So you decide what you want to do. I don't want it to look crappy necessarily. You put a fair amount of time in these, you don't want to screw them up. And if I didn't do that one stitch, if I didn't fix it, then every time I would look at this guy, I would wish that I had fixed it. So it's better to just take the time and do it. I did another one just like that. Too close to the edge. That's what happened. Too close. Whenever I try to rush a little bit, I pay for it by having to stop and then fix what I was in a rush about. Just freezing constantly? Damn, I'm so sorry. I hate that. That makes it very hard to enjoy something. I don't know why it does that. It's not raining. I can't explain it. All right, we're in the home stretch. All right, so now I have to stuff this guy. Where's my stuffing? This is where you'll need your pencil or chopstick to push that all the way down to the tip. You don't want to stuff it so full that it starts popping the seams, which I'm just doing. Just enough to get it full. All right. So now we're going to place the hat on his body and connect. There again, be careful with his beard fur. So sew it in there. Take a little from the back. That's the trouble, is just trying to get him started is it's a little weird to hang on to. I'll use my boobs to help hold on to him. Got to be good for something. All kinds of things to get hung up on here. I suppose I could pin his head, use some sewing pins to hold them together. That would be smart, I think, but didn't think about that sooner. That really would have been smart to get some straight pins and anchor them on rather than try to struggle here like I'm doing. Okay, almost there. All right, so come up through the front of the hat. And just do a stitch to hold him on either side. And then what I'm going to do is take this needle and push it through the top of the body over to this side and add a stitch to the front. Okay, so he's on. So I'm just going to tie off my thread down here. Push my needle through here so my knot doesn't show or stick out. And then cut that thread off there. And there you go. Okay. So, let's see. So we got through it. So that's the new one, the new guy on the block. It's not the best stitching. Kind of suck at that. But if you had the stitching, the color thread of the pieces that you're working with, it would show less. But you know, nonetheless, it came out, and his schnoz is sticking out good. So I just think they're fun. They're cute. Um, there's different color choices. Like I said, you could mix them up. Um, you could probably do a lot of different things uh, to make them, you know, cuten them up a little bit. But I think I'm going to play. I'm going to when I go to Joann's next time. I'm going to get some um, yarn, some hair colored yarn, like maybe blondish looking or a light brown or something. Uh, just just to make a few females on there. And I also think that where is the other girl? Where's the girl that I made? She's oh, here she is. Um, I could probably come up with something different to put on her uh, body part, you know, on the front. But I think having a lighter color braids would be cute too. So, or maybe put something on her hat. You could put sequins on them. You can do lots of different things with felt. And, you know, I've done a lot of different ornaments, all basic, all simple shapes. Um, uh, you know, maybe before next Christmas, I'll do something like that. Do a demo with different shaped ornaments and with adding sequins and things like that on there. Uh, Micron Cat says they're much cuter with contrast stitching. They probably are. You know, I do have some other pearl cotton around here that I had bought years ago and really didn't do anything with. So maybe I'll pull out some of those colors and, you know, on my next one, my next girls, I'll try them on them and see how they look. So anyway, this is making a little gnome. And you can hang up, like I said. Oh well. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Um, I'm going to try, like I said, put them up on my shelf, and then they can look down at me while I'm working, and it'll make me smile. So next, uh, the next demo that I'm going to do is going to be the earring cards. I'm kind of excited about that. I like doing those. If you have rubber stamps, uh, you can use them in a variety of ways on making the cards, and and I'll walk you through all of that. Yeah, they'll look over me. Thank you, Nancy. um, yeah, so I'm gonna do the cards next demo, and then the demo after that, I'm gonna do this bracelet. So a number of you have already ordered kits. If you want a kit, order it now, and I'll get them all made. I just ordered a bunch of materials, different beads and things to make them. I'm going to stick with the colors that I chose for this bracelet. Um, you know, I would say if you're not, well, I hope you like the colors, uh, but it's just too hard to get too many different colors. It's like too much expense to buy colors and you don't know if people are going to like them or not. So basically, I make what I like, and if you like them, then you can go ahead and get a kit. Once you make the kit, you can make it again with whatever beads you want. You can keep that in mind. That way, you'll get the instructions and the supplies, you know, that kind of thing, and then you can go from there. But this is a really one of the more simple bead projects that I've done. Uh, so if you've never done anything like that before, this is a good introduction. This is working with super duos and which have 2 holes in the beads, and then I'm using size 11O and size 15O for the side beads. So it's a good project to start with. So let me know if you want a kit from that. I will post the instructions for the gnomes in just a little bit, and any links. You know, yeah, there was I think some stitches that I wanted to put the links on for that, and also the little template that you can print and cut out, and then make your own gnome bodies. So not home bodies, gnome bodies. All right, guys. All right, so I will see you in the group. Thanks for being with me. I always enjoy you guys joining me, and I will see you all later. Take care. Bye bye.